Folks, our guest today is Kris Warner, West Virginia Secretary of State. Secretary Warner, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jim, it's great to be here again with you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for being in Morgantown. I look forward to learning more about what you're doing now as a Secretary of the State and looking forward to our conversation.
Yeah, this friendship is at least 3 decades, maybe 4 decades old. So really great to see you and see how much you've grown here.
Yeah,
this is a tremendous effort here.
Absolutely.
Positively West Virginia. Positively West Virginia.
Positively West Virginia is powered by Breezeline high-speed fiber internet and sponsored by Highmark West Virginia, Freedom Kia of Morgantown, and Humble Influence. With the help of these sponsors, we're able to share the positive business stories of West Virginians, including the one from today's episode.
Secretary Warner, let's start right at the top. For our listeners across West Virginia who may not fully understand what the role of the Secretary of State of West Virginia is all about, give us an overview.
So the secretary portion of the name comes as being the secretary to the Board of Public Works. So that's your auditor, treasurer, commissioner of agriculture, attorney general, the governor chairs the Board of Public Works, and then the Secretary of State. So we handle all the meeting notices, to make sure that we're doing everything, open meetings, laws, that sort of thing. Yeah. We handle any official communications for the governor. So right now with the legislature in, think if a bill passes the House of Delegates, goes to the state Senate or vice versa, downstairs to the governor's office. Most people think when he puts his signature to it, that it becomes law in the state of West Virginia, but it has one more step. It needs to come to the Secretary of State's office for the Great Seal of the state of West Virginia to be affixed to that. We just make sure that everything's been done the way it's supposed to be done from the House and the Senate. The governor's office, that it's not an auto pen by some staffer. So that's where the secretary portion of the name comes from. But I'm the chief elections officer for the state of West Virginia.
Yeah, that's the primary role, right?
Well, it's out of 51 employees, we only have 6 that focus on elections full time. Wow. So that's where the media is normally focused on our office. But there's a huge amount of work there that the county clerks really take on. They're the workhorses when it comes to elections. But we provide the tools they need to keep our voting rolls clean. We're very proud of the fact that in the last 8.5 years, we've removed over 408,000 names from our voting rolls. People have moved out of state, deceased, convicted felons, whatever.
Yeah, just cleaning it up.
Yeah, we think that clean elections start with clean voter rolls.
Yeah, so important.
And so we take that on. There are over, I think, 900 different ballot styles for the May primary election. It takes 8,200 poll workers and 1,650 precincts to run an election in West Virginia.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
So, yeah, the
logistics.
County clerks do that, but we provide them the information they need, keep them up to date with all the laws that have passed. Yeah, this will be the first election that unaffiliated voters in the last 25 years will not be able to pull a Republican ballot on the primary election. This will be the first election when you have to have a government-issued photo ID. That was a bill passed by the legislature. So those are the types of things we work with. But we're also the chief business registration official for the state of West Virginia. There are 172,000 plus businesses and charities and nonprofits that not only register with our office, Jim, but then also have to file their annual reports with us as well. So that is where most of our folks, 41 of our employees, are focused on the business registration side on a daily basis.
That's important. It was kind of funny. We were joking with some of your staff before we got on the air here about making sure that my business was in good standing with the Secretary of State's
thanks
office.
For checking
I did.
That.
I do it every year. I was like, do we follow our paperwork? Okay. People don't realize you gotta do it every year. So there's a lot that goes back into that. Secretary Warner, you've had a great career in business as an entrepreneur and now in public service. If you wouldn't mind, just go back and tell us a little bit about your background. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up? And what got you fired up for public service?
Well, Jim, first and foremost, I consider myself an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Probably started 15 to 20 businesses in my day and several of those right here in Morgantown, but also in Philippi and over in Kaiser with the 2 business and enterprise centers we had there, focusing on what you focus on, small businesses.
Yes.
And so that was really the start after being here in Morgantown at school at WVU. Kind of got my interest in politics as a U.S. Capitol page my senior year in high school. Went to Washington, D.C., and went to school on the top floor of the Library of Congress, and before cell phones and beepers and Blackberries, we hand-carried messages that had been handwritten.
Now, did you work for a specific congressperson?
Yeah, my congressman was Congressman Slack, Democrat congressman out of Charleston.
Yeah.
And that drove my interest. So when I came back and ended up getting into business here while I was going to school at WVU, buying rental houses and renting those out to WVU students. Yeah. That business grew to, I think we rented 500 plus WVU students. Wow. But I realized the importance of what I'd learned back, starting in high school, that you got to have representation. And so I was elected county chairman here of the Republican Party, and then recognized at the state level pretty quickly, both volunteer jobs, and was elected state chairman for the Republican Party in the early 2000s.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Where did you grow up?
Grew up in Charleston, but moved to Morgantown to go to school here. Met my wife, Joyce, and you with your band, The Magnificents.
That's right.
Played at the reception.
How many years ago was that?
That would have been 38 years ago.
Isn't that crazy? It seems like yesterday to some degree.
It does.
Well, that's great. Well, as it pertains to the Secretary of State role, when it comes to economic growth, entrepreneurship here in West Virginia, what has you fired up? What's exciting right now?
The Office of Entrepreneurship is something. When I was elected and spent a year crisscrossing the state, most people think of elections, and elections are important, but we have an excellent staff, and they really are on top of the game. These are people that have been around 20 plus years in many cases. To make sure that we run elections the way they need to be run, and get past that history in West Virginia of where elections have not always been safe, secure, fair, and honest. But I stressed that we wanted to stay on top of small businesses as it relates to providing them the resources and tools they need, Jim, to have an early win in that first 3 years, because there are too many businesses that they get their business registration certificate, they come out and they don't know what's next. And this Office of Entrepreneurship and what we've come up with is something that 7 other states have, but none of them focus and have an elected officer leading that effort. And I think that's really important. I mean, you got so many state governments where you call and you reach somebody and you think you're just not getting the responsiveness that you need. Yeah. And you really need someone that's been an entrepreneur, has been a small business owner. And so we are making the push that land in the Secretary of State's office. But this Office of Entrepreneurship would just have 2 employees that would focus solely on small businesses. When I say small businesses, I know across the country we think of 100 or so employees make a small business. In West Virginia, that's 10 or less employees. Yeah. We want to be able to have them be able to have the data analytics necessary that the big companies have when they're making a decision about where they're going to locate. Well, if we've got that information, or we can tell a guy that's going to want to start a plumbing business in Charleston, West Virginia, that there are already 32 plumbers, you might want to go to Elkview, and if you want to keep your business in Charleston, that's great, but you might want to advertise in Elkview because there are no plumbers.
Yeah, and there's a need there for that. That's great. I love it. Well, that's I think it's called Senate Bill 878.
Yep, Senate Bill 878.
Yeah, so what is the status? We're recording this on March 4th. This will be airing next Thursday. What's the status today of that bill?
Last Saturday, it passed out of the Senate, so it's gone over to the House. It's been assigned to government organization and finance. You got crossover day. It has to move today in government org.
Today's crossover day,
or we're going to be in trouble. So, we've got nothing but rave reviews from Speaker Hanshaw, and this fits in exactly with what he's doing. Yeah. It should fit in exactly with what Governor Morsi has talked about. Having a backyard brawl and being able to compete with the neighboring states. With 29 counties that border other states, we've got to be on top of our game. And the one thing I remember, from the EDA, when we followed up with businesses that did not choose West Virginia, and we serve, the EDA serves as the state's bank, if you will, to help those larger corporations that are going to bring hundreds of jobs here, but they need a little extra push.
This is Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back.
Your prescriptions are designed to keep you healthy, active, full of life. At Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, we're making vital medicine more affordable. Because when your prescriptions don't cost an arm and a leg, you can use those limbs for something more meaningful. Because life. Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, West Virginia.
Stay connected with an unbeatable deal from Breezeline. Voted best in Mountaineer Country for their reliable, high-speed fiber internet for a low cost, Breezeline is the best gig in town. Here at InnerAction Media, we rely on high-speed internet every single day to ensure we can deliver the best content possible for our clients and when we publish Positively West Virginia each week. That's why we use Breezeline. It's affordable, fast, and they're great people as well. Learn more about Breezeline's internet, TV, and mobile options at breezeline.com. Folks, we're back. We're visiting with Kris Warner. He's the West Virginia Secretary of State. Secretary Warner, one of the things that I'm excited about is we talk about it quite a bit on the show. It's very easy to start a business in West Virginia. And I think that's due in large part to West Virginia One-Stop Business Portal. That's the online business resource that the Secretary of State's office, your office, has put together. Maybe talk a little bit about the background of that and just what it means for somebody who has an idea, wants to start a business.
Jim, what used to take 2 weeks to start a business in West Virginia can now be done in less than 2 hours. Yeah. In fact, just a couple of months ago, we had a guy that was starting his own disc jockey business. And from the moment he came into our West Virginia One-Stop Business Center, it took him 29 minutes. But you mentioned the One-Stop Business Portal. Mm-hmm. That gives anyone anywhere in West Virginia 24/7 the availability to start their own business and be able to do that online. And the really neat thing, and I've heard people say it's a game changer. I know we often stay away from the term game changer, but it allows you to register with the Secretary of State. You've got the State Tax Division, Workforce West Virginia, and the IRS for your FEIN number. All you have to do is fill out that information once, and it automatically goes to all of those different places that need to have your information, so you're not going to different physical locations, and you're not even having to go from website to website to get that done. Yeah, but it allows you to do it all in one place, and it makes it so much easier when it comes time to file your annual report, to be able to go back on, pull up the annual report from last year, about 6 clicks of the mouse, and you can take care of your annual report.
Great. Well, what's cool too, Secretary Warner, is that, starting a business oftentimes starts with coming up with a name, and you can actually research to see if somebody already has your name of your business right there on that portal. I think that's a very cool thing too.
Yeah, it's the trade name, or we used to say doing business as, right. But you can take care of that. Again, the annual reports, you can file an amendment, you can change your officers' names or addresses, or close a business if necessary, right from the portal.
Yeah, it's and we talk about this quite a bit on the show. There are so many resources that are available to people, especially us people that are small business owners and entrepreneurs. We have an idea and we want to go to market with it, and this portal, I think, makes it very easy for people to do just that, get started. Now, growing a business, especially over the years, right, is very difficult, as we know, and access to capital and having resources. And one of the things that I've found, Secretary, in doing this show since 2017 is that many people find that entrepreneurship, running a small business, is lonely. But I'm always very quick to respond that you don't have to go alone. And I think that business portal connects can connect you with the SBDC and coaches and mentors and all sorts of resources that can kind of get you plugged in as you're starting your business.
Yeah, I would stress if those folks watching today don't pick up anything else, if you go to the West Virginia Secretary of State's website and go to our grant and funding button there that you can click in the upper left-hand corner, it makes every grant available in the state of West Virginia, even if you're a municipality. But for small business owners, you fill out about a page and a half application. They will match up the grants that you're eligible for. Wow. And then you got to go back and apply for each one of those grants. Yeah. But the West Virginia Grant Resource Center and concert, if you will, with WVU and Marshall is a site that every small business owner ought to go check out.
Well, we always we hear the issue all the time: access to capital. And growing, like I said, growing a business can be difficult, especially myself personally. I like to do things at the speed of cash, without leveraging and going into debt and so forth. And I've been lucky to be able to do that. Let's put it that way, blessed. But there are times when you need access to capital, and maybe traditional lending through a bank or financial institution isn't there. So grant funding can be a really important opportunity. So thank you for bringing that forward.
Well, let me mention one other thing that we did. Again, coming from a background of entrepreneurship and being a small business owner, just knowing what each of the agencies can do. We started every Friday in the business, West Virginia One-Stop Business Center, training everybody that answers a telephone call. I brought in people from the Appalachian Regional Commission, the West Virginia Economic Development Authority, the Small Business Development Center, SBA, so that our folks are ready when someone calls and says, hey, I need some help or access to capital. That they can point them, we're not going to point them to one bank over another bank, but we get to point them to where they could get the most amount of help. And it's just helpful to know that, hey, the West Virginia Economic Development Authority doesn't offer grants. They offer lower rate interest loans.
Yes.
But if you need a grant, here are the places you go. Not only the Grant Resource Center, but the USDA Rural Development under the Small Business Services. Or Rural Business Services is that agency named under the umbrella of USDA Rural Development. Yeah. They do offer grants, and so does the Appalachian Regional Commission. Yeah. So we want to be that resource for small business owners, even though it might not have anything to do with the Secretary of State's office. We don't offer grants here, but we can put you in contact with those that do, and we want to be that resource for small business owners and entrepreneurs.
That's awesome.
In West Virginia.
It sounds to me, Secretary, like you truly want West Virginia business to win. And you're teeing it up, and I just love that. And I think that that's what we need. We need an environment to be able to prosper and thrive.
Well, by the time folks see this, I would say it will be time to call the governor and let him know that if this makes it through the House of Delegates, through House Finance and Government Org, they need to make sure he signs this bill, and that it needs to land in the Secretary of State's office because we are the one agency that every business has to work with on an annual basis. And Commerce and Department of Economic Development don't do that. We are the logical place for that to be housed.
I love it. This is Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back. In a world obsessed with leadership, what if the real key to success is followership? We hear it all the time. Be a leader, take charge. But what if the most impactful people aren't the ones leading from the front? In Humble Influence, I explore how humility, collaboration, and shared purpose empower followers to create meaningful change in business, organizations, and relationships. Discover the strength of true followership with Humble Influence. Folks, we're back. We're visiting with Kris Warner, West Virginia Secretary of State. Secretary Warner, again, thank you for being here. Help us get a sense of the landscape right now currently in the business world in terms of business registrations and types of industries or business that are getting momentum in West Virginia. If you could maybe speak to that a little bit.
Just to give you an idea, if we look back to 2023, we had about 18,000 businesses registered through the Secretary of State's office. If we jump forward to 2024, it was only about another 150 over top of that. But the big jump came this last year in 2025. We jumped another 1,500 businesses, so 19,500 businesses. Started in West Virginia. And you ask, what are we seeing? I had a chance to talk with Sarah Carey, who heads up our West Virginia One-Stop Business Center, all 3 locations, one in Charleston, one in downtown Clarksburg, and one in downtown Martinsburg. And she said, we're really seeing a large number of just really innovative ideas. And why this stands out is we really don't track, is somebody a manufacturer, industrial development, or distribution, warehousing, whatever it may be. We don't keep track of that. But she said they're really innovative ideas because we give you a spot to check the box for what category do you fit in. And she goes, these businesses that are starting don't fit into any of the categories.
Love it. Yeah.
She told me about one business called Smart Sneakers. And, we all have our watches that track how many steps we're taking per day. But, counting on your arm swinging back and forth is really inaccurate. This is built into the tongue of the shoe. And it tracks how many steps you're taking and keeps track of so many things.
Well, we didn't plan this, but you don't know probably that we have recorded an episode with Chima Emo. He is the founder. Yeah. Okay. The name of his business is escaping me off the top of my head, but we just had him on the show. The episode has not aired yet, but yeah, those are the kinds of things that we're on top of as well. And we just love those kinds of entrepreneurial stories because, like you said, they're not fitting in the box. We're thinking differently. And, I heard John Deskins, the chief economist for WVU Chamber College of Business and Economics. He does his annual economic, report every year. And for the last, 10 years, he keeps saying, we've got to diversify our economy. Yeah. And I asked him one time, what does that look like? He says, I don't know, but we'll know it when we see it. And I think this is seeing it, all these different ideas and creative, out of the box, whether it's tech or just, retail or whatever. Those are the great things that I think is the future and has me excited about West Virginia. Yeah.
We have a guy yesterday in the office, Civil Air Patrol, and he comes back in after the rest of the group left. And he said, I'm starting my own business. And I said, what are you doing? His mom was with him. He's a high school student.
No kidding.
He said, I'm opening up a camper repair business. He goes, we're real near the Hatfield-McCoy trails. And he goes, all these campers are coming in. I've been working on them. I've been taking care of what they need maintenance-wise. He goes, so we're going to open up a business. And then you look at the New River Gorge, national park status. And I said, man, you can just see this kid's business is going to
I need explode. That fellow. I need his number. Because I can't work on my little camper, and I need somebody all the time. So yeah, that's great. Well, we talk about entrepreneurship and business, and the greatest businesses solve problems. They find a problem out there, and I always try to coach people to say, don't fall in love with your solution, fall in love with the problem. There's campers breaking down. I live right in proximity with them, the New River Gorge, Hatfield, McCoy Trail. That's the problem you fall in love with, fixing those campers. Then your solution will be a successful business if you fall in love with the problem.
Yep, you're exactly right. I got to tell you, the other thing that we're really excited about, and this kind of stems from my time at EDA and USDA before that, but this aerospace industry. And, I see it anchored by the two heavy weights on the end of each end of Route 50 in West Virginia. So over around Ravenswood, you got TIMET and everything that they're doing with titanium aerospace parts. You see the whole energy corridor there with natural gas and being able to locate businesses right on top of the energy source that is going to be needed. But then, in Bridgeport and Clarksburg, you got North Star Technologies, MHI, Aurora Flight Services, and they're really doing some, amazing things. So, I'd love to see that whole corridor develop in between Clarksburg and, over Parkersburg, Ravenswood area.
I agree 100%. And it's a fledgling industry. And I think it's just, even though it's been in the it's been in our backyard for a number of years. It's really starting to boom. And these jobs are really good jobs. We worked a couple of years ago with MHIRJ. People don't realize that that's Mitsubishi Heavy Industries regional jet, MHIRJ. That's Mitsubishi, one of the leading corporations in the world.
Yeah, you got Lockheed and Pratt Whitney.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I think that that gets overlooked and we kind of take it for granted sometimes, But I'm excited. I share that optimism with you for sure. What do you think? I don't know if this is even a fair question, Secretary Warner, but are there pockets of opportunity that maybe people are overlooking that you see and say, man, we need some of this?
You say that, and I go back to a trip I got to make years ago, probably 2014 or so. I made the trip to Taiwan and had the opportunity right after being introduced to leaders of Taiwan. I said, "Who's the guy from West Virginia?" And raised my hand. He goes, "You're coming with me. Everybody else is going on a tour." And I thought, I don't like this idea 2 hours into being in country for the first time. But he goes, "You've got it all." He raises his hands up in the air. Wow. We're sitting in a room that had no windows, but he was the energy czar for the country of Taiwan. Kidding. He goes, "You got coal, oil, gas, natural gas, timber." He goes, "You even have running water to power, for electricity." And all of a sudden you realize, we've got all this right here in West Virginia. So, the opportunity that we have is the low cost of, electricity, whether that's being coal generated or will be generated by natural gas. A company could locate here if they wanted, and if they have the mineral rights, they could pull their own natural gas from there. So having the feedstock of not just natural gas and coal and oil, but we've got every possible source of energy to power manufacturing, industrial development right here in West Virginia. And although we have very innovative companies starting in West Virginia, I think there's a real opportunity, and we'll continue to have a real opportunity.
That's great.
For all those sources of energy.
I could only imagine being pulled into that room in Taiwan. I thought you were going to say he was going to make you sing Country Roads in front of a whole group of people.
Oh, they all knew it. They probably knew it better than I.
I remember one time I had led a group of kids, high school kids from Mon County over to India, Calcutta, and it's a long flight. I was exhausted, and we get there, and this is through Rotary International. I'm still a Rotarian, and I get there, and they have this big reception at the governor of West Bengal's mansion, and the lawn. It's like 10 o'clock at night. I'm exhausted. You could just imagine traveling all day with 5 high school kids, and they introduced me, and they say, Jim Matuga, come up here, up on the stage. They had a band. They said, "We would like for you to sing Country Roads." And there was like hundreds of people. I had to sing Country Roads.
Well, you probably had a lot of help as soon as you got started.
It was fun, right? Yeah. But I thought that's where you were going with that. That's a great story. You have it all in West Virginia. I love it. Yeah. I want to ask you a little bit about the Jennings Randolph Award, if it's okay. That's something I think is really unique in West Virginia. Could you give us maybe the backstory of this award and why it's so important to West Virginia?
Yeah, U.S. Senator Jennings Randolph, while he was a congressman in 1941, President Roosevelt decided he was going to send 18-year-olds off to go fight and die for their country. They didn't even have a right to vote at that time. You had to be 21 years of age. Right, yeah. He didn't win his battle in 1941, Congressman Jennings Randolph, but he continued to work for 29 years to get the 26th Amendment to the Constitution passed, which finally in 1971, height of Vietnam War, we're getting ready to, we're sending our young people off to fight and die for their country. Then Senator Jennings Randolph was able to get the voting age dropped to 18 to match up with the draft age. And so we have the Jennings Randolph Award that when we go into high schools, I've been in 35 high schools as of this morning with Trinity Christian School right here in Morgantown. The staff's been in 55 high schools in the last year. But we're registering 17, 18, and 19-year-olds. We've registered just over 17,000 high school seniors in the last year, which represents 42% of all new registered voters in West Virginia. were either 17, 18, or 19 years old last year. So at the same time, we're taking names off of the voter rolls to keep our voter rolls clean. It's extremely important to be in front of the high school students to make sure that they understand how easy it is to register to vote and that we all have one vote. Doesn't matter whether you're President Trump or Taylor Swift or Jim Matuga, we all get one vote. And to see the light bulb go off is well worth it, whether they're voting for somebody or they're getting to cancel somebody's vote. That seems to be as popular with some of the high school seniors now.
I could see you light up when you're talking about this, and it's such a joy to be able to hear you talk about Jennings Randolph and his legacy. I would like to share just a real quick story with you. Yeah. And I don't know if our listeners would know about this or even you, but one of my favorite books of all time is Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. This book was written in 1937. Prior to 1937, Jennings Randolph was a graduate in 1922 of Salem College in Harrison County. Okay, 1922. Okay, this book was written in 1937. So 1922, Jennings Randolph is sitting at the commencement address for Salem College in Harrison County, West Virginia, as a graduate. And who do you think was the keynote speaker for the commencement? Napoleon Hill.
Really?
He is doing research from Andrew Carnegie and all these industrialists to create this book in 1937. But in 1922, he is the commencement speaker, and Jennings Randolph is in the audience. And in this book, in the introduction, Napoleon Hill pays homage, and he actually prints the letter that Jennings Randolph wrote to him, saying that he was in the audience at this commencement speech in 1922, was so inspired to get out there and do great work for the people of West Virginia, that he was writing in 1937, all these years later, as a congressman, to please write a book. And he did not know that Napoleon Hill was in the process of writing Think and Grow Rich, one of the best complete success books ever written, and how to be successful in life, not just in money, but in your life. And so I don't know that everybody knows. I've written a column about this one time and kind of laid it out, how wonderful that is. You know, we have this visionary leader who is sitting at a commencement address by the author of one of the most influential self-improvement, self-help, success, whatever you want to call it, books, Think and Grow Rich. And I just think that tie is so amazing. And the power of not just, having the right to vote at 18, but to be successful and to lead people in our state. What a powerful legacy. So I think about that, and I'm thinking about you, Secretary Warner, and your role now. How do you see the Secretary of State's office now carrying forward for today's population in West Virginia, especially our young people that you're so passionate about getting them out to vote? What kind of legacy do you hope that you can have here in West Virginia?
Well, I got to mention something. I mean, you mentioned.
Did you know that story, by the way?
I did not.
It's pretty cool, right?
I want to go back and read that letter.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing with Jennings Randolph and West Virginia has always allowed 18-year-olds and young people to be involved in the process. But I got to just three quick success stories. Yeah. Sarah Blair, youngest person ever elected to any state legislature anywhere in the country. She won her primary election at the age of 17. Turned 18 before November, and then went on to serve in the House of Delegates. Caleb Hanna is the youngest Black American ever elected to a state legislature anywhere in the country. And went on to serve and is now working for the auditor's office in the state capitol.
No kidding.
And then lastly, Josh Holstein is the delegate from Boone County. We get to recognize him tomorrow for the John Lewis Award, Youth Leadership Award. But he served several years in the legislature as the youngest state chairman in the history of the country for a major political party. Wow. And that's all happened here. So as long as we can continue to reach young people and make it easy for them to register, easy to vote, hard to cheat, we will have done our job as Secretary of State.
I love it. Yeah, thank you for that service. One thing that as you were talking about that, I think it's vitally important for these young people to also have hope here in our state. I think that sometimes we can get bogged down in the negative news and press and statistics and rankings, right? We're this and that, and it can be hard to overcome. But one of my missions as a champion for small business and entrepreneurship is to get the word out there and share these great stories and these history lessons like we're talking about today, to give people a sense of hope and optimism that you can be something. Your life can matter here in West Virginia. You can create something that can have impact. Yeah. You can create a company, even if it's a small business with 5 team members, 5 employees, or even if it's just your own job that you're owning, right? As a sole proprietor, you can make a difference here. And we need these young people to stay here.
We do. And the West Virginia Secretary of State's office is going to be your resource in the future, whether we have the Office of Entrepreneurship or not. We're going to be the resource for, once you get that business certificate, the question is, what's next?
Yes.
And we want to be that answer to what's next, whether it's access to capital, whether it's navigating through other state agencies. The Secretary of State's office wants to be that for all entrepreneurs and small business owners in West Virginia.
It's a great mission. I appreciate that. Secretary, you've been around a lot of successful leaders your whole career. You're a successful leader in your own right. What do you think is the most important trait of a successful business leader today?
Trait to be, it's kind of like weddings and funerals. Yeah. You've got to show up. You can't do it from sitting behind your computer all the time.
Yeah.
So it's not to give up. And if you think that you've failed, it's not a failure. If you've learned something, you got to get back up and keep plugging away. And so the successful entrepreneurs that I've seen, it might have been their 7th or 8th business, and what they originally started out thinking that they were going to do, that's not what made them successful.
It's funny how that works. Yeah, I see it time and time again. I appreciate you sharing your insight on leadership. Secretary, we've covered a lot here today, and I really am grateful for the opportunity to sit down with you. I know you have a very busy schedule, hectic schedule, lots of things to do. So we do appreciate you sharing this time with us and our audience today. Is there anything else our listeners should know about your story?
Well, I want you to know that we're going to invite you to come join us for just 3 questions. That's something that we do to keep the focus on business.
Awesome.
Not necessarily elections, but we're staying focused on business in our office. We look to do that. I would just urge folks to go to the Secretary of State's website. We have something called Solo, which is our single online location. 9,000 most asked questions for business owners, and 24/7 they can get answers to those. They've already been researched legally. You're going to get the same answer at 2 o'clock in the morning that you get at 2 o'clock in the afternoon by speaking to somebody live in our office. But we want to be that resource for entrepreneurs and business owners.
Absolutely. And we'll have those links to the website and all those contacts in the show notes of the podcast, as well as social media. We'll make sure that we're helping get the word out as well. Our guest once again today is Kris Warner, West Virginia Secretary of State. Kris, it's been a true honor to have you here in the podcast studio here in Morgantown. You're always welcome anytime you want to stop by and give us an update on things. I think your service is exemplary. I appreciate you getting out there amongst these young people and registering them to vote and being an advocate for entrepreneurs and small business. We really appreciate you. Keep up the great work.
Hey, Jim, thanks for being successful and not giving up, and keep swinging every day, and it's great to see your success here.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Folks, that's a wrap on another episode of Positively West Virginia. If you or someone you know would be a great guest on our show, drop us a line on our website at positivelywv.com. And of course, we appreciate your comments, your support, sharing these great episodes of small business entrepreneurs and great business leaders and community leaders like Kris Warner, the Secretary of State of West Virginia. It helps get the word out about what they're doing at the Secretary of State's office, and helps Positively West Virginia as well, and getting these positive stories about business out there to our community. So we really appreciate that. On behalf of our entire Positively West Virginia team, including our producer today, the illustrious and handsome Jimmy Murray behind the controls. Appreciate you, Jimmy. I'm your host, Jim Matuga. Stay positive, West Virginia.
We'd like to thank our partners, Highmark West Virginia, Freedom Kia of Morgantown, InnerAction Media, Storymaker, and our studio sponsor, Breezeline, for helping to share these positive stories. If you'd like to become a sponsor of the Positively West Virginia podcast, visit positivelywv.com/sponsor.